for questions and comments because this is a very exciting campaign. Lots of stuff is going on, and I cannot possibly tell you everything. In
I
one
just have a brief
afternoon.
comment.
Yes, sir.
They always say, what kind of message would legalization tell our children? I'm sure nothing they can't find out on the internet, or in that recent issue of Time, or in that upcoming National Geographic.
Right.
What kind of message?
Comes a time when you tell the children Santa Claus is not real.
Yeah, yeah, comes a
There
time.
is no Easter.
Right. And what better than education,
Sorry, I don't want to
right?
pop
But I
your
mean,
bubble, but let's be real, dude.
Right. Yes, sir.
If you're going to use the argument that the regulated market will supplant the black market, I think you're going to have some problems with using Colorado as an example because well over half of the market in Colorado is still underground.
Sure.
And there's no way you can deny that.
However,
And I submit to you,
Yes, sir.
please don't interrupt, and I submit to you that if your plan as written goes through, it will do very little to disrupt the state of the market that exists.
Well, I just, one point, I would argue that $700 million taken away from drug cartels, the flow of marijuana decreasing is a much better.
I'm not talking about cartels.
in Colorado,
Mom and pop operations and new things.
Yeah, but when we're talking about our initiative, we are talking about cartels because right now our market is cartels. It is the criminal element. Anybody that deals in that market is a criminal. And we know that's
Make it part of the cartel.
well, we make it not illegal, and we fight against the big portion that the cartel does control. In fact, Time Magazine, and I hope that all of you will go into and see these articles. There's two articles, one on Time Magazine and one on Vice News about marijuana coming in from Mexico. And I don't know what experience you might have with Mexican weed, but it's, from what I hear, it's not as good as American weed. In fact, last week on Vice, they had a picture of an American joint rolled up as an American flag, and it was straight and nice, and it looked pretty. And then the Mexican joint, and it kind of just went down this way. What it was representing, it was the trend downward that marijuana was collected at the border. When you go into places like California, Arizona that has a medical marijuana market, or Colorado that already has a recreational, the stuff you're going to find even in the black market is not going to be from Mexico, but from the actual state. And so my argument to that is we just keep working to diminish that, but at least the Mexican drug cartels are losing that $700 million of revenue. Yes, sir.
in 2014, a little over 80% of all recreational sales in Colorado were done by out-of-state people. Were people coming into the town, coming into Colorado and buying it. The argument against the black market is so far in 2015, they've seen a decrease of about 5 to 7%. So around 73 or 74% of the market is out-of-state patients, which tells you people are getting tired of the junk on the street and are starting to go in and buy in the dispensaries because, again, the prices are lowering. Now, again, the black market in Colorado is very small. People like to say there's a black market, but that's the black market people scream. The black market in Colorado is basically friends selling to friends to cover very small costs because the majority of people in Colorado who buy over 2 ounces a month get medical cards and thus are paying $75 for quality tested medicine in the dispensaries. And again, in Colorado, the highest percentage marijuana goes to the medical side before the recreational side. And after anything over 20% has sat in the medical side for 60 days, it then can be moved into the recreational side.
Exactly.
So the numbers are switching and are going away from everybody wanting to grow their weed at home, which flooded the market, which gave almost no value to a black market except for a few random Craigslist guys who sell to pretty much out-of-state patients for way jacked up prices.
And that's something I wanted to
say. People, not patients.
I wanted to touch on that a little bit because you said that there was a higher percentage of people going out from street weed to now
It's in
the
half a year,
regulated.
they've increased more Colorado resident sales of
Right.
recreational product, where the majority of Colorado sales are patient sales.
Right, and Bill Humble said on our debate on Tuesday, the one we were talking about, the guy that was supposed to be in the middle kind of oversaw the medical marijuana program. It's always a balancing act to go from higher taxes, which is going to pass the bill, because the people do like the fact that money is flowing into public education and public health care, and not to Mexican drug cartels. Am I going to keep saying that point over? Yes. So not only do we need that point, we need those tax revenues to pass that bill, but over time we will play around with that middle point where, okay, this is too much taxes and now we're creating a black market, maybe we can decrease it. But this is the first step. We have to make it not illegal. We have to make it legal, we have to make it regulated so that then we can take those points and change the taxing system. And yes, you're completely right. Having a medical card is an advantage in Colorado, and it will be an advantage here in Arizona because, as you know, it'll be a 15% retail tax on marijuana recreationally. That's on top of the sales tax. Maybe we're playing with 22-25% tax on recreational marijuana. With medical, you keep the same tax that it is now. I'm thinking 8%, 12%, something like that.
City sales.
Yeah, it's just city
City sales.
6.3 it sounds.
Exactly. So it still makes sense to get a medical card. You still get the benefits of having it be your medicine, and that's something that we tried to do. We didn't want the medical system to be damaged or bothered with the recreational stuff. We just wanted it to be legal and then move forward.
Again, his point is one of the main arguments that the other groups have is the black market and patient-to-patient sales or people-to-people sales. And that's a very important argument, and they really grouped in with the cartel because they're not cartel. They're individuals trying to support themselves, and they have a legitimate argument on their side also. But again, stating the facts that recreational is becoming more used in Colorado for citizens is a big thing because people will stop buying off the street when it's just easier and safer and cleaner to go buy there.
And again, we see it in the decrease of illegal drugs coming in from other countries.
And other states.
In other states, sure. Yes.
So would you share with the group what the breakdown is on the 40, 40, and 20%?
Yes.
Because for me, that's the biggest argument. Just so that everybody in this room is aware, I've been a teacher in the state of Arizona. Come July 1st, we will be 52nd in the nation in terms of what we fund per pupil. Teachers who have children of their own have to leave the profession to support their families.
Right.
A lot of them are getting fired, they're not saying that.
Well, so we're
We're
in a desperate situation. I
Very
was a
desperate.
long-term sub without a certificate because mine expired 17 years ago in the fall. And I'm one of hundreds filling posts that are open in Arizona because people will not come here to teach. And Doug Ducey's current legislative group, 10:30 at night on Fridays when they started that budget meeting, and they didn't let out till 8:30 in the morning,
Right.
while the legislators were sleeping on the desk. It's
Right.
really important everybody understands that we can direct money from these sales back to education, because our legislature sure isn't gonna.
So
Eight consecutive years of cut.
when we say
They
it's
don't
going to go
care.
towards public education and health, this is what we mean. The tax revenue that will be collected from recreational marijuana will be broken up into a system that's 40%, 40%, 20%. 40% will go towards public education, which means new facilities being built and teacher compensation. So actual teacher salaries will be affected. The cool thing about that is that we diverted the funds, so instead of it going through the Capitol and then back into the schools after their political fight, we just diverted it directly to schools. There's not going to be a political battle on where this is going because it'll be written in law and it'll be diverted straight to schools without having that Capitol building in.
Thank
So,
you.
correct me, so education is going to pot and pot to the rest of it for
Let's
education.
go to education, yeah!
The other 40% is going towards all-day kindergarten.
Yeah.
40%, the other 40%.
So yeah, 40% teachers' compensation and facilities. The other 40% is all-day kindergarten, and then the rest of the 20% it'll be going towards health, which will look like the Colorado initiative. They the 20% of the budget revenue goes towards teaching young students about marijuana. And having a good regulated system. We're going to actually train the people that are going to be behind the counter asking for an ID. It's going to really be, a productive thing in terms of public health for our communities regarding cannabis, because like I said, we're fighting ignorance, we're fighting fear, and once we have it, once we get our way, it's our responsibility to go out there and do what this pamphlet has to say. And I hope that all of you will take this, because we're going to try to mass produce this with Kathy. We're going to try to build a website that's called understandingcannabis.org. Kathy already bought the URL for it, so we're going to fill it with not only information about cannabis, but also videos. You'll hear some testimonies today. We want to put those out there, because somebody's personal story goes way further than a statistic when you're talking to somebody.
So, to get around our debacle with the medical marijuana law, where we have this huge amount of money sitting in a fund that people like Sue Sisley can't use to research marijuana for medical benefits in the medical marijuana law, is there going to be language in this initiative like Colorado that set up funds specifically for marijuana research, since we can't touch the medical law?
Unfortunately, I don't believe there is.
Okay.
Because the most efficient is to go through that declassification or a reclassification process.
Yeah.
For that, but that doesn't mean that we're not throwing it on the side and not worrying about it. In fact, in November, we are working to get Cory Booker. Does anybody know who Cory Booker is? He's a senator from New Jersey. Yes, he just introduced a bill that would reclassify marijuana to a Schedule II drug, which would allow for... Yeah, the CARES Act, that would allow for marijuana to be tested and have funding to be tested, which is the most important thing. We're not throwing it to the side. We're actually being proactive and working in that message, and that's bringing speakers and having a big campaign about education.
Sue Sisley shouldn't have to go to Colorado to research medical marijuana when medical
In
marijuana
Arizona.
is legal in her own state.
Right.
Absolutely, thank you.
And MPP actually pushed that bill with Cory Booker and Rand Paul. So,
Excellent.
yes.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you know where, at the debate, Sheila Polk said that there were 100 studies going on in Arizona related to marijuana. It's like, where, like, in what basis?
She didn't get into it because most people were booing when she was saying
I'm
that.
studying it. How about you?
Well, again, it just shows.
Like, that's the first of mine.
It just shows you that our opponents and the people that they're trying to advocate to have no experience with cannabis at all. So it's easy to make it scary.
Yeah.
It's easy to make anything you don't know scary. And I hope that the people in this room, as small as we are right now, we would be like the founding fathers of the cannabis world in Arizona, of the cannabis education world. And I know Kathy is already a big figure in that, and all that we can do to support that cause, I hope that you will join us and help that as well. So please come and talk to me, get my card, or get my information so that you can...
If you have any student friends, please refer them to me for Students for Sensible Drug Policy. We are at ASU mainly, but if you go to MCC, if you go to anywhere in the valley.
Stand next to him and
Yeah,
say that,
okay, cool.
so that we can hear you on film right here.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Look at
I'm
that.
Sarah Saucedo. If you know any students, you love them and you care about them, and you say, I want you to be involved in the movement to legalize marijuana, please tell them about Students for Sensible Drug Policy, where the ASU chapter of SSDP is very active. I'm the president. We have the original founder, Cameron Oberlin, who's also here, and we are trying to throw ourselves into the initiative and getting it passed. So any of your student friends, even if they don't go to ASU, we welcome all community members, any type of student. If you're in high school, you know, it's just a great thing to be involved in, and you get to meet cool people like yourselves. So please come talk to me if you have student friends or just have questions about SSDP. Yes, I mean even children. I would love to talk to a child and let them know.
Yeah, and we hope to run a lot of forums and talks and events with SSDP.
Yes,
So.
through ASU.
Yeah.
So count on it being in the future. Lots of events, panels, lectures, educational good stuff.
Yep. Last two things I want to say.
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you for all
Last two
you do.
things I want to say. Almost 20,000 signatures collected. Almost. I didn't say it yet, but almost. I think by this weekend we'll get there. We have collectors in front of libraries, at public places, at public events like Comic-Con. We collected a bunch. We have Mikel Weisser, and I'm sure he'll tell you where he's been all over the state collecting signatures. So One thing I'll tell you about signatures, and this is the last thing I'll leave with, it's kind of serious business because it's an official government document. If you do want to collect signatures for us, that's awesome, and it does mean a lot for us,
Yeah.
but it is a job that does take some time. You have to sign a release, and then you do have to get those signatures notarized. So if you think you can help us in a better way, just sign the petition and talk to me because we have groups for physicians, parents, teachers, hopefully soon. Anything that we can do to help. Make sure you sign it either way and then talk to us about being a petition collector if you're interested. That's all I gotta say. I'm excited to meet any of you that I haven't said hello.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Carlos. Well, hold on a second. 1 second, Michael.
Yeah.
Do we have an email list for the campaign? Because I'm going to send this around if you'd like Mom Force updates. I'm going to send this around. Please sign it. Do you have a sign up? Okay, this is also your sign up. I will share this obviously with the campaign. I'm
Yes.
sharing all my.
Yeah, anything Mom Force, anything Arizonans for Safe Access, those emails. If Kathy is so gracious to providing us with it,
Yeah, we're all in the
of course,
same boat here
you
together.
will find out
Yes.
not only what's going on with the campaign, but also the next group meetings. If we have a meetup for, I don't know, East Side legalization people, then you'll know about those things. So I'm working on getting a weekly email put together for all you people that are more involved. So watch out for that. Make sure I get your email.
But you can go to regulatemarijuanainarizona.org and just sign up for email alerts so that you guys know the campaign issues and what's going on. And thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everybody thank Carlos, and we're going to welcome Mikel Weisser, everybody. So kind of a in between, I'm sorry. Big round for
Carlos, I wanted to show you
for
something
both
before you
guys. Both guys.
get too far. Come here. I want to show you something because I'm gonna give you guys a request. See what I've done here? It says right now, Carlos Alfaro with MPP presenting at AZ for Safe Access at the Refuge, explaining the messaging to turn red to green. This is a Twitter. See? It's very easy to do. I want you all to pull out your pieces of plastic, point it in his direction, her direction, or mine, since I'm talking
I'll do
currently.
it. This is fun.
And
Stand
do
in front of the
this,
screen, guys.
and
Stand
here's
stand in
why.
front of the screen.
Because, as you know, this is 21st century, the first rule of 21st century politics. If a tree falls in the forest and no one tweets on Instagram or their Facebook, nobody cares!
It's true.
We must have people caring. When I was a school teacher, I once asked my students, "Don't you even know what apathy means?" And they said, "We don't care."
Yeah.
Right.
That's
But yeah, I'm glad it actually happened. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So I actually grew up in drug cartel land on the border of Texas and Mexico. So I take the drug war pretty darn serious. Indeed, I had a high school friend who drank himself to death. Son of the local banker, so wow, their success. And the guy voted most likely to succeed died of a cocaine overdose. I have friends who are immigrants from Mexico who have had family members shot to death. Restaurant where I used to eat in Reynosa had, in Matamoros, which is on the border of Texas at Brownsville. My favorite restaurant had a great Mexican singer, Valentin Elizalde, shot to death in front of the restaurant. I wasn't there, but I stopped eating there. Actually, you may guess. It makes sense, right? So I've been caring about marijuana reform for a long time in my life. I usually don't go through any background stories, but I started smoking even though I grew up in a place where a lot of marijuana is imported. I didn't start smoking until I was a teen runaway. I continued to find that it helped me with social anxiety, and I was a construction worker. I still dress that way. In the trade, we're better off with the hat generally, so I'm just going to keep that on. It's my poet hat. But when I got to be an adult and remarried after my first wife died of overdose from prescription painkillers, I decided that it was better to not go that way. My minister, in fact, he said, "Michael, I'd like to do something for you after my first wife died." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I'd like to take you to lunch." And I said, "Great." Because really, what else can you do? And he said, "Also, I'd like to get you high." And I was really shocked, right? But you know what?
Your members?
Yeah.
Good church.
It was kind of a message to me that this thing that had been part of my whole life actually meant more. And so when I remarried, a woman who wanted to be political,